Hey guys, welcome or welcome back and welcome to this week's reading vlog. It's been at least a year since I let Shallow Daddies and Smarty Cowboys take over my life. Okay, Clyde is really funny. I think the fantasy of like, don't fucking touch her or who did this to you, I think this might be the contemporary romance equivalent. Like they've all got like a slightly different design and pattern. These are so much fun. Vibes are high so far. The rules of the game for this video are so fun. Bestie Laura, who's actually a friend of a friend, very kindly sent me some of her TBR cards and they are going to be choosing the books that we read in today's video. These are such a cute and fun concept. It's basically like the TBR jar, but in like a way cuter card form, and instead of random scraps of little bits of paper, we've got like all of these prompts. I mean, look at some of these. Pick a book about second chances, perfect for a beach day, giving sad girl energy, translated into English with fated lovers or a magical bond, described as fast-paced, enemies to lovers. Look guys, these are, look at how cute these are. Look at these. Like they've all got like a slightly different design and pattern. These are so much fun. So these are going to be picking the books that we read today. Laura also really kindly gave me a discount code for you guys if you wanted to get some of these cards. Ellen reads 10. Like I said, I'll link the Etsy shop, and then if you like, these are so cute. I also think these are such a perfect like bookish gift. Poor TBR jar has been slightly outshined. So the way that I'm going to do this, I'm obviously going to randomly choose a card. Ideally, I will be choosing a book from the September TBR that matches a card. Like that's the ideal situation, is that we get to tick off the TBR that we set for September. These are 3 books that are remaining at this point that we haven't read yet for September. However, if I pick a card and it doesn't match one of these books, and I feel like it really perfectly matches one of the books on the shelf, I'm very happy to move on to one of the books on the shelf. Especially, I'm not that bothered about getting to Emily Wilde because so many of you guys have said it's really wintry and feels kind of snowy. And so now I'm thinking that maybe September is like a little bit premature to get to this book. So I won't be like trying to force a card to fit this one in particular, but hopefully we'll try and get through the Nightingale and Atmosphere, and then we can consult the shelf. Okay, this is so much fun. Right, okay, I've given them a little bit of a shuffle. Gosh, my shuffling skills are so bad. I'm now gonna take like a small number from the top of the pile, and then I'm gonna fan these out so you can see them and I can't see them. What's it looking like? Have we got some good choices? Maybe you probably actually can't even, shall I shrink the list even more? Okay, I've shrunk the list even more. This is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can you guys even see what they are? This is what we're looking at. These are all the prompts. I hate that you can see them and I can't. Okay. Right, fanning them out, fanning them out, fanning them out. I'm gonna choose this one. Pick a book that's the shortest on your shelf. Okay, so in my TBR pile, that would have been Emily Wilde, but I don't know if I want to read Emily Wilde, in which case, should we just have a little look at the shelf? Okay, you're zoomed in, so hopefully you can see the shortest on my shelf. Okay, well, like the shortest for sure is this one. Oh my gosh, but maybe not. That writing is like teeny tiny. This was the winner of the 2025 International Booker Prize. It's called Heartland. Okay, I'm gonna get it as an option, but I don't know if I'm ready for this yet. Oh my gosh, this book is killing me. This book is killing me. I still haven't read it. That's quite short. Let's get that out as an option. People watching. This is also like relatively short. The House on the Cerulean Sea is also quite short. Well, yeah, I'm picking the smaller books and then we're gonna have a look. Maybe A Study in Drowning also is quite small. Okay, so this is like my shortlist, which are the smallest looking books that I've got on my shelf. Let's now go through some of these. Obviously, we know that this one like is technically the shortest, but just like give me a minute. Give me a minute to think about it, okay? So, Assistant to the Villain. This book. Okay, 340. 340 for that one. People Watching, 332. So that, wait, what's even less than that? That's the acknowledgements. 329. Okay, so People Watching is shorter than Assistant to the Villain. Okay, then we've got House on the Cerulean Sea. Oh no, that's much longer. 398. And then we've got A Study in Drowning, which is 376. So I can definitely put back A Study in Drowning and House on the Cerulean Sea. Oh, I've just seen Remarkably Bright Creatures. That also looks quite short. 300 and 355. And what was People Watching? 329. Why can I not remember the numbers? Like as soon as I've said them out loud, they let go from my head. Okay, yeah, so we can't do Remarkably Bright Creatures either. This damn book. Right, I'm gonna put it back. How many times can I pick this book up? and put it back. I don't know, hundreds apparently. Okay, decisions have been made. I am gonna cheat a little bit and I'm actually going to read 2 books. So I'm gonna follow the prompt accurately. You guys know I really struggle to deny the jar, and I feel the same way about the cards. If it says the shortest book on your shelf, I have to choose the shortest book on the shelf. So I am gonna read Heartland by Banu Mushtaq, which is the 2025 Booker Prize winner. And as I understand it, it's a number of short stories, I think like 12 of them or something, that are written across multiple decades. But it's about the lives of Muslim women and girls living in southern India, and I think it's probably going to be quite a tough read. These stories speak truth to power and slice through the fault lines of caste, class and religion widespread in contemporary society, exposing the rot within: corruption, oppression, injustice, violence. Yet at its heart, Heartland returns us to the true great pleasures of reading: solid storytelling, unforgettable characters, vivid dialogue, tensions simmering under the surface, and a surprise at each turn. The other thing that I saw it, it's gonna be gone now, but the one that said like a book that's been translated. Ooh, a book about forbidden love. I'm excited for that one. A book that's been translated. This is also a book that has been translated, so it would tick shortest book on the shelf, and it would also tick the translated card if I could re-find that. So I'm gonna read this, but because this is 12 short stories, and I think they're probably gonna be quite hard to read, I'm going to mix it up with the second shortest book on the shelf, and that is People Watching by Hannah Bonham Young. Very quickly about People Watching, it feels like blasphemy, like I don't even wanna say it out loud, but I have already started this book. I tried it a couple of times, and I've got 23 pages of the way through, and then I put it back on the shelf. Guys, I basically soft DNF this book. I don't know if I'm gonna love it. After all of the fuss I made, I'm not sure if it's gonna be a 5-star read. And like, I want it to be. Out on a Limb is so good, and Out of the Woods was so perfect. But I've started reading it, and like the male main character is just not my vibe. And I think in a contemporary romance book, you kind of need to somewhat vibe with the energy of the male main character. And like, so far in 23 pages, he just makes a lot of sexual innuendo kind of jokes, like all the time. And he's like a really confident guy, which is normally my thing, but it doesn't feel like he's confident in like a sweetheart way. He's like confident in like a, I don't know, like maybe an overtly sexual way. I don't know, guys. I'm just not sure Milo's for me. I'm not sure he's my type, but I do think this will be lighthearted. Kind of. Hannah Bonham Young usually makes you cry, but like in a fun way, she makes you cry. So I think it would be good to have this to mix up every time I read a couple of these stories. I'll mix it up with this, and then this feels like very highbrow. And so far compared to Hannah's other books, oh, I feel so harsh saying this. I'm only 23 pages in, but this is feeling a little bit more lowbrow, and usually I like Hannah's work for being a bit more emotionally, like there being more depth, and this is feeling a little bit shallow so far. I don't want to say it out loud. But this is definitely gonna pack a punch. So we're gonna alternate these. These are the books we're gonna start with, and then once we've read these 2, we'll come back to the deck, pick another card, and pick another book. These cards are so much fun, with a strong female lead, with a messy love triangle. Enough with the cards, Ellen. Put them down. And I'm gonna go get reading, and I guess I'm gonna start with Heartland. Look at us, guys. We're reading serious books that are gonna broaden our worldview, and it's about time. It's about time I read a more serious book, because it's been at least a year since I let Shadow Daddies and Smutty Cowboys take over my life. Right, I'm yapping. See you after short story number 1. Disaster for me. Not a disaster, that's dramatic, but I feel sad. I'm not gonna get, okay, right. So I haven't finished the first story, like I haven't fully finished the first story of Heartland yet, so I won't talk about that just yet, but I have been doing some more reading of People Watching. I've also got the audiobook now, so I'm gonna audiobook some of it as well. But I've reached the 100-page mark, which of this book is about a third, and feels like it's written by someone else entirely. It's just completely different. It's quite a horny book. I don't know, the 2 characters just seem like a little bit sex obsessed. Like the inner dialogue is like that's what they're both thinking about, and like I'm early on. It just feels really different. I don't know, it doesn't feel the same as the other 2, and it is a different series. Like those 2 were part of the same universe, Out of the Woods and Out on a Limb, and this is part of a different universe, and I get that. But just the writing style, like the wholesomeness, like for me the reason why I love those books so much is because they're so so wholesome and they tug on my heartstrings in like the most beautiful way, like right from the first sentence of the author's note. I did love the author's note in this, like that felt very Hannah. And then since we've started the book, it feels, look, I think I can enjoy it. I think I can enjoy it, not that I should have to force myself to enjoy it, but I think I can enjoy it. I think I will enjoy it. It's not bad. I'm still enjoying the banter. This to me feels sports romance energy. And you go into a sports romance book like with a very different mindset than you do going into a Hannah book, or I don't actually mean to say you, I do. It's just very insta-lovey, where they're kind of obsessed with each other's like physical attributes, like they're obsessed with each other physically, like right from the word go, and they're not able to get through like a normal conversation without there being like innuendos and banter. And I love banter. I just wasn't expecting like an innuendo filled, I don't know, it's just like not. I like a yearn. I like a yearn and a slow burn. And I like a yearn and a slow burn, even from confident characters, whereas this is a confident character, the MMC Milo, who's just like throwing it all out there, like basically saying exactly what he wants. It's just a bit much. I don't know, guys. I don't know. But I'm not sure I love it, which feels so wrong considering it was like one of my most anticipated releases for the whole year. I was so excited about it. Getting an arc of this, the biggest blessing ever. And I'm still so grateful to Bedford Square and to Hannah. And like, I'm so grateful I got it, but it's not gonna be one of my favorites of Hannah's. I think this is more a fluffy fun time. I'm judging it too much considering I'm only 100 pages in. I'm gonna keep going, and I do trust Hannah that is not the case, that he does have layers and maybe there's some like insecurities or like there's more going on there, but he's kind of got that character where his older siblings are like, are you gonna grow up? And I just find it hard to find a man like that attractive, because he basically he's a fuckboy, like that is his persona. It's like fuckboy energy, and like that's his character. I'm kind of looking forward to when both of these are done and we can go back to the cards to try again. That's my update for now. I'm gonna go keep reading / listening. Let's hope my review gets a little bit more positive as we do like maybe the next 100 pages. I don't know. Okay, let's talk where we're up to. Let's start off with Heartland. Very, very different to anything that I've read before. I decided going into this book that I needed to do a bit of research before I read it, and I'm glad that I did. I was just getting those vibes that I was gonna need some context, I was gonna need some educating before being able to really appreciate this book. And I'm really glad I did do that research just to get a little bit more understanding and be a little bit more educated about Kannada, about the context. Kannada, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Kannada is the language which this book was originally written in. It originates from southwestern India and is spoken by a subset of people that live within southwestern India. And it's a language that has been around for, I think, over 1,000 years. And it's pulled influences from lots of different places. I think it mentioned that there was like some Sanskrit influences in there, but it's famously an extremely difficult language to translate. So I think a lot of the reason why this book won the Booker Prize was for how incredible the translation is and how the translation so wonderfully captures the nuances of the language. I don't know enough about linguistics. It's made me feel really nerdy to learn more about linguistics, but how well the translation captures the nuances of the language that it was originally written in, but kind of translating some of that into English whilst not being obviously a direct copy, because I think that's anyway, apparently it's just a really, really complex language to translate. I have read 2 of the short stories. This is one of those books that does feel very hard for me to rate. It does feel like it's a little bit out of my league, if I'm just being really honest. And hopefully as I advance more I'm not doing much to advance my reading skills at the moment. We're just here for vibes and we're just having a good time. But I'm sure at some point I'll be ready to re-enter my highbrow reading era and I can like advance my knowledge and like capabilities a little bit more. This does feel a little bit advanced for me in some ways, but not in others. I think the translation is hard to read. I did read some criticism that says that Kannada as a language is a very, I can't remember what word it used, it's a very oral language where a lot of the sentiment and a lot of meaning is translated through like literal sound. So it's a really difficult one to get onto paper because a lot of it is, I'm guessing, like not specific words that are used, but like the sounds that are made. So the translation is quite difficult to read in some aspects. It's written very differently. There's also a lot of language and a lot of dialogue in here. I think you have to really concentrate to make sure that you have to be really interested in the stories to Google a lot of the words. A lot of the words are words that I am not used to, and I think they're words that if you're from southern India and if you're from Muslim communities, you might know what some of these words are more naturally. But as somebody that's very removed from the communities with which this is written about, you have to be really interested to do some Googling. So I took the first 2 stories that I've read as seriously as I could to give them the respect and time that they deserved. And I actually really got into the stories. They're so short. I mean, there's 12 stories in just this very little book. And I really enjoyed the first 2 stories. I think the way that I'm going to approach it now is I'm going to read one of these stories a week, and that will obviously then take me weeks and weeks. It'll take me another 10 weeks to finish. But it's not the kind of book that you like sink into. In my head, I was like, oh, it's a little book. I'll just read this in one, like really quickly. It's not really like that. And I do have to get my head around like the way that the narrator is speaking a lot of the time, because it is very disjointed and you are very aware that it's translated text. But I still did get really absorbed in the 2 stories that I read. Some of it's quite hard to read. I haven't read any stories yet that like something really, well, actually some pretty awful things do happen, but I think it's likely to get worse based on what's written on the back. Like some of the stories are probably going to be more difficult than the ones I've read at the beginning, but just the way that women and girls describe men and the attitudes of men towards women, some of that's really hard to read. Some of that is difficult to wrap my head around. Like there was a little paragraph at the beginning of the first story, which I'll read to you very quickly because it's just a short paragraph that says, "Come to think of it, for us, that is, for us Muslims, it is said that other than Allah above, our Pati is God on earth." Pati means husband. "Suppose there comes a situation where the husband's body is full of sores, with pus and blood oozing out from them. It is said that even if the wife uses her tongue to lick these wounds clean, she will still not be able to completely repay the debt she owes him. If he is a drunkard or a womanizer, or if he harasses her for her dowry every day, even if all these ifs are true, he is still the husband. No matter which religion one belongs to, it is accepted that the wife is the husband's most obedient servant, his bonded labourer." And it's really interesting how explicit those views are communicated, but how much love there can still be in some of these families and communities. I don't know, like I said, I think a lot of this is slightly over my head. It deserves a lot of attention. I'm going to keep reading it, like I said, a story a week. But I'm really not going to rush finishing that book in this video. But I've read 2 stories. I'll keep you updated on if there's anything particularly interesting that comes out of any of the other ones, if they make it into a future vlog. But if you're wanting to just learn a little bit more about a community that perhaps you don't know lots about, then Heartland is definitely a little bit different, and definitely very different to any of the other books that I normally talk about on my channel. But a book that is not different, let me get this blanket out of the way, a book that is not different from the books that I normally talk about on my channel. People Watching by Hannah Bonham Young. Finished it, and I don't really know what to say. I feel really weird about it. I did really enjoy the story by the end. I did do basically a complete 180 on Milo. At the beginning, I was like, oh gosh, Milo is really not for me. By the end of the book, I really liked Milo and I thought he was a fantastic MMC. However, I needed to, which I kind of talked to you about a little bit already, give myself a pep talk and just rewrite in my brain what this book is. This is such a nice, fun, very smutty, like girly fun time book. Like I said, if you're enjoying Maple Hill series, if you're enjoying Vancouver Storm series, if you're enjoying Off Campus Diaries, like if you like any of those and you want like a relatively smutty book that's just like not sports romance, then this was good. Like I genuinely had a really nice time and it was fun. However, it just felt off. Like something just felt off to me, and I don't know whether that's my fault or whether it is something that's actually in the pages of the book, but it just felt off to me. It felt like Hannah was doing something new. It felt really insta-lovey. I felt as though when all of a sudden Milo, the MMC, said that like he was in love with the FMC, I was like, wait, what? What do you mean? How? And actually it wasn't necessarily that early on in the book that he said that. But I was a bit like, how? How? We don't know her. We haven't spent enough time together. Or I don't know, in a book I tend to find that like by the time they finally admit it, you're like, yes, you've been in love with her for so long, we've seen like all the ways in which you've shown that you love her. Whereas this, all of a sudden he was like, oh my gosh, I love her. I did really enjoy when he was so down bad. Like once he'd decided, it was a bit like a flick had switched, but once he decided that he was in love with her, I really loved the prose and the description of what Milo as a down bad man was like. And then I started to see some of like the Hannah Bonham Young writing style that I love, when it was just about the just like realness. I think she describes in the other 2 books of hers that I love so much what it's really like to be in love in such a beautiful way, and somehow it's like slightly lyrical prose but also feels like really grounded in reality. I just love it. This had those moments in there, but they just felt a bit, it didn't feel like a natural progression to get to those points. So I don't know, I think I'm gonna give it 3.5, 3.5. I'm a little disappointed. Those are our first 1 and a bit books done. And now we can return to the cards. So I think I'm obsessed with these cards. Right, we're gonna give them another shuffle. Oh no, I've like got them all spun around the wrong way. I wish I could shuffle really well, you know, like do the whole ch-ch-ch. I think that's a really sexy skill to have. Or maybe it's more of like a total ick when people can't shuffle. So it's like being able to do it properly. It's just like the opposite of being an ick. Right, I'm gonna give these a little shuffle in my dodgy way. And then let's pick again, okay? Right, I'm just gonna pick a random small sample again. How many I've got here. Okay, these are some of the prompts that we've got in here for you to see. Oh, are there any good ones? I hate that you can see like, oh. This is what we've got. I don't know how well you could actually see any of those. Right, let's choose. Oh yeah, I've just seen that actually some of these are upside down. Let's put that one the right way up. Let's put that one the right way up. I am gonna choose this one. What does it say? Pick a book that will make you laugh. Look at me knowing what I needed, or just knowing what I always like. Pick a book that will make you laugh. Well, we're gonna be having a girly fun time again. I think I know what I wanna pick. And I'm secretly so pleased. I just like need a minute before I could get it from the shelf, you know. Okay, I'm ready. Up next, we're gonna be reading Wildcard. It's a miracle I've lasted this long. I mean, is Elsie Silver my favorite author? Is that fine to say? Like, maybe, I don't know, probably. Every single one of Elsie's books has hit for me. The only one of her books that I didn't love was is it Eyes? Yeah, it was Wild Eyes. The one about, I actually can't remember her name. Skylar? Yeah, Skylar and West. That was my least favorite one. I was a little bored. I actually read that book exactly kind of like this time last year. That's the only one of her books that I haven't loved. And even then, I still had a good time, you know. I still had a good time. It just wasn't one of my favorites of hers. I think this is gonna be one of my favorites. My favorite of the series, of the Rose Hill series so far, was Wild Side, the one that we had last time about Reese and Tabby. I actually loved it. I also did really enjoy Rosie and Ford's story. And now we have Bash, and is it Gwen? Have I completely made that up? Is her name Gwen? There's a front. Gwen. Yeah, Bash and Gwen. He is a firefighter pilot. I don't know what she does for work, but I'm excited. I might even treat myself to an immersive read of this one and download the audiobook as well, because I have a credit. So I might be using one of my credits, reading and listening to this. We're gonna go get started. We're gonna have such a good time. If I am not laughing out loud during this book, I will be shocked. I will be shocked, because I always have the best time reading these books. Banter is always so high. Okay, I'm hyping it up too much. I'm gonna get disappointed if I do that. Right, I'm gonna go start reading Wildcard, and I'll update you. I'll update you in a bit. Where is it? A book that will make you laugh. Tick. Bash is hilarious. Bash is fully hilarious. Actually, we should probably let's catch up. We should probably catch up. I need a bookmark. I've just had to put the blinds down so you can see me. The sun is crazy today. Okay, so I am now 42 pages in. I read some when I did my little walk this morning. I'm trying to do half of my 10,000 steps a day on my little walking thing, and it's the perfect time to read in the morning. So I did my 5,000 steps whilst I walked, and then I went to get my nails done, and I managed to read like a little bit whilst I was getting my nails done. Guys, I've gone crazy. I've got brown nails. Look, they're brown. I never have anything other than Bubble Bar, and now I've got this like chocolatey brown colour, and I fully feel like I have someone else's hands on my arms. That's weird. That's a weird thing to say. Anyway, we're 42 pages in. The pages that I read when I was getting my nails done had me like honestly trying to contain my laughter. I had to put it away because like, you know, when you're just like desperately trying to contain a laugh, and like I was sitting there like with my phone in front of me, like grinning, trying not to burst out laughing, and I was like, this is too embarrassing, I can't burst out laughing in the middle of the nail salon, so I had to put my phone down. Elsie, she's just mother. Like, she just knows, she knows what I need, she knows what I like, and she just gives it to me every time. Bash is fantastic. I knew I was gonna love Bash, and I do. Also really hardcore vibing with Gwen right now. The book starts with like a 1 year previously, where you get the context of how they met for the first time, the two of them. And then now I've just started the first chapter that is in like present day in Rose Hill, where I can only assume they're gonna bump into each other again. So it's kind of giving, well, actually no, it's not. I was gonna say it's kind of giving like the whole Theo Silver thing where they met and then all that time passed and then they kind of like met again. But that's actually a whole other kettle of fish for all the reasons that we know if you've read Chestnut. That's like a whole, it's not like that, but vibes are high so far. I'm excited to read more about Crazy Clyde. Crazy Clyde is one of the members of the bowling league, like the bowling club, that team, that's what it is. It's not a the bowling team that all of the male main characters from the Rose Hill series, like they're all on the same bowling team. And Crazy Clyde is a character who like you don't really get loads about, but everybody says in this book he's really funny. So I haven't even got to Crazy Clyde yet and I'm already having a whale of a time. We've already ticked the card, like I said. So far we're off to an excellent start. Elsie can do no wrong. I'm gonna go keep reading and I'll update you in a bit. I was gonna immersive read, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm actually just gonna read it because it's not duet, but the voice actor for the male main character is Connor Crace, and I love him. He always does such a good job as a voice actor. So if you are an audiobook girly and you way prefer to audiobook, then I do think this would be a good one, but I'm just gonna stick to the physical copy. Anyway, I'm gonna go keep reading. That's my update so far. Absolutely loving it. Will it be a 5-star? Too soon to say. It's too soon to say, but we're having a really good time and we're not even at 50 pages, so catch up with you soon. we just had the line that is all over the promo stuff, so like I knew this was coming. I don't know how many times it's been highlighted, but it's like highlighted on the Kindle app. To the outside observer, it would appear that I'm staring at the guy that I showed up here with, but they would be wrong. I'm staring at his dad. The fun begins now. Fantasy of like, don't fucking touch her, or who did this to you? I think this might be the contemporary romance equivalent, which is, the fuck did you just say to her? That works too. That works too. She is a master. I'm 63 pages in and I'm so invested. I'm so invested we haven't even hit 100 pages. The giddy feeling, the giddy feeling. Clyde is really funny. We've definitely ticked that card. Clyde is really funny. we have it, less than 24 hours later, and we're done. Guys, there's just something about Elsie Silver's writing that I love. It's so comforting to me, which I just can't really put into words. Like, her books are just like a total safe space. I have such a good time every time, and this was no exception. I think it's the balance that you get between the story being about their relationship, which that is the entire plot, is a couple and how they end up getting together, like their journey to getting together. That is always the story. But you get so much richness in their lives from all the side characters, which I do think you miss in some other similar kind of books that are also like dual point of view. I find a lot of dual point of view romances, it's so about their relationship that you're like, don't have any context. I'm like, do they have friends? Do they have family? Do they have anything else going on in their lives? Like, do they have a job? Like, you lose all of this, context, I guess. It was richness. There's so much. Clyde in this book. Clyde is so funny. I loved getting to see more of the other characters that we've already spent time with in Rose Hill. I loved Bash. I loved Gwen. Bash isn't necessarily like my favorite MMC, but Gwen was fantastic, and the way that she just continuously called him on his bullshit. Like, she is so good for him, and they're so good for each other. And I just think the way they handled like a very messy situation, well, I'm not going to say like the way they handled it was like perfect, but there's like no easy way to handle an ex's dad like kind of dynamic. But it was all just done so well. I just had the best, like I just had such a good time. Like, that's what these books are for. I had such a good time. I don't know what to give it. I think 4.5, 4.75. I could honestly just give every Elsie book 5 stars because I have no notes. Like, would I change anything about this book? Was there any moment that I was like, oh, that was cringy? That's one thing I will say. There is nothing cringy in Elsie's books ever. And I think it's very difficult not to have any cringy moments in a contemporary romance. Like, there were some cringy bits in this. I hate to say it. There isn't like all of them, but somehow not in Elsie's. Like, I find nothing cringy. So to be honest, I could give it 5 stars, but I think I'm gonna give it 4.5. Maybe I should give it 4.75. I don't know. It was really good though. I recommend it. And now, can you see the shelf? You can. I can put Wildcard in with all the others. Don't move my stickers out the way. There we go. Look at that. These are the cards we've already done so far in our little challenge. Look at that, the completed Rose Hill mountain range. Let me put my stickers back in to hold it upright. Oh, it looks so good. Right, another one down. It's time to go back to the cards again and pick another book. Okay, another shuffle. Hopefully this time we'll get something that's like not a contemporary romance, because we've now had 2 of those, but I am very pleased we've ticked off 2 new releases that I really want to get to. And there's so many new releases coming out at the moment. I'm finding it impossible to keep up. Okay, let's choose another random mini selection of these cards. Are they all the right way up? Yes. Yes, this is the way I need to show you. Okay. These are some of the options that we've got. Hopefully there's some good prompts in here. Right, fan it out, fan it out. Okay, this time, I don't know, I'm gonna pick this one. Pick a book with a fake dating storyline. Normally I would love that. I would love that. But I think I'm done with contemporary romances. Like, I think we could mix it up a little bit. And I also am not confident I've actually got a fake dating storyline book. Unless there was a fake dating on the fantasy shelf, I could do that. But looking at them all, I'm actually not sure that's the thing. Okay, let's pick again. Let's pick again. We're not gonna go for fake dating. I don't think I've literally got a book that's fake dating. Mix them, mix them. Not that I actually saw what they were. Let's go again. Or maybe should I add another one pile just to like keep it random? Oh, turn it the right way up. Mix, mix. Right, maybe I'll pick like one right at the other end. This one. Pick a book by an author you have never read. Okay, that gives me quite a lot of wiggle room because I have a lot of books on my shelf that are by an author I've never read. Okay, I'm gonna get off some options and then we can talk through some options. Yeah, let me do that. Okay, we've got some options. There are actually so many books on my shelf by authors I've never read. So the list could have been huge. So I've just like picked a random selection of books that I think I'd be into reading at the moment. Okay, option number 1, we've got Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. Interesting, different. I never read anything from Shelby Van Pelt before. My other options are The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. I mean, I've had this on my TBR now for a while. Honestly, it sounds like a pretty epic kind of fantasy adventure kind of a book, fitting for the autumnal season. Similar vein, An Ember in the Ashes by Sabata here. I've also had this on my TBR for ages. And then the final option is that I do read one of the books that is on my September TBR, and that is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett, because I've never read any Heather Fawcett either. I don't know. And I can't ask your opinion, but 4 good options. Maybe what I'll do is I'll actually choose another card and see if that card can help me choose from the 4 that we've got here. This is roughly what we're looking at. I wonder if you can actually see any of these prompts on there. Maybe one right in the middle. Pick a book with a magical or witchy cover. Okay, well that eliminates remarkably bright creatures and keeps in all 3, An Ember in the Ashes, The Prison Healer, and Encyclopedia of Fairies. Should we pick again? Because like none of them are witchy, but they're all magical. Okay, let's pick again. I'm getting as much use out of these cards as I possibly can. This one, pick a book that you bought most recently. I can't use that one either. I have no idea which of these I bought most recently. Oh my gosh, let's go again. Let's pick again. Maybe this one that matches your outfit. None of these really match my outfit. These are the covers. We've got Prison Healer that looks like that. Emily Wilde that looks like, I mean, this is the most similar in like tone, I guess. And then An Ember in the Ashes. Honestly, my outfit doesn't look like any of these. Okay, I'm just gonna keep these 3. Let's choose again. Middle one, about forbidden love. Maybe forbidden love could be An Ember in the Ashes. I don't really think it's a romance though, but like the description on the back, maybe I've read too many enemies to lovers, but like it does make me think that maybe Leia and Elias. She's a scholar living under the iron-fisted rule of the Martial Empire. Her brother goes missing, and then the Academy's finest soldier, Elias, is ordered to participate in a ruthless contest. Vow your blood and body to the Empire. Keep your heart for yourself. That makes me think, like, doesn't that make you think? Basically, like, can we keep going with picking more and more cards? I think we're doing it. I think we're doing An Ember in the Ashes, which I'm really excited about. This has been on my TBR for so long. Everyone says it's such a fantastic fantasy series. I've actually got no idea how many books there are. Oh, there's a map. We love it when there's a map. Oh, it's an academy. Maybe it's all set in a school. Oh no, and there's a map of the school, and there is a map of the Empire. Okay, I'm excited to read this. Right, let's get going. YA epic fantasy adventure. Yes, please. But I will update you. Oh, and actually going back to the one that was like, pick a book that matches your outfit. Doesn't match my outfit, but this one does match my new nails, which is like the boldest thing I've done in a while. So maybe this one was perfect choice because it also matches the nails. Right, I'm gonna go get started on An Ember in the Ashes and I will update you very soon. Update on An Ember in the Ashes. I am now about halfway through. First things first, the prompt is definitely wrong. This is not a book about forbidden love. So it's not just not about forbidden love, it's not really about any love. It's not a romance book at all. This is a fantasy book. Although the fantasy elements right now are very light. It's one of those fantasy stories where you're first existing in a realm where there's no hint of magic at all, and slowly you start to see where there are maybe creatures or things that aren't quite as they seem. It's dual point of view. You get Leia's story and you get Elias's story. They're both on very different missions. They're kind of on different adventures. I'm preferring Elias's chapters more at the moment. I just find them a little bit more gripping, I suppose. I think Leia's stories a little bit like they're slower paced. It took me a little bit of a minute to get into, but I think that is more because I have just come off the back of like 2 contemporary romances back to back, which are like extremely fast paced. You don't really have to think too hard about what's going on. Like everything is just so painted out for you. This is a little bit like, this is like a true fantasy story in the sense you've got new vocabulary, you've got a whole new world that you're learning with new politics and new systems. I will say none of that is necessarily complicated to understand. It just took me a minute to get into the flow of it. In Leia's chapter, Leia, I think I pronounce her name differently every time I read it, but Leia's chapters are following her trying to join up with the rebellion and the resistance fighters so that she can infiltrate the Empire to try and save her brother. And Elias's chapters are all about him training to be a mask at the school that he's at. He is in his final year, he graduates, but then it turns out that even though he thought he was graduating and was going to be able to escape the Empire and escape being a mask, because even though he's kind of on like the baddie side, he actually doesn't want to be one and he hates it and really wants to escape. It turns out that actually he has to go through a series of trials, which is what is happening now. And again, I think literally all of that is on the back. We are actually getting little bits of romance in here, kind of like it would be kind of the equivalent, like calling this a romance book or like marketing this as a romance book would be the same as marketing like Six of Crows as a romance book. Like, it's not. It's just not. But that doesn't mean that there aren't little pockets of attraction between people in the same way that you get that in Six of Crows. And I don't know, I see a few like messy love triangle situations emerging potentially in future books. I mean, you would assume that Elias and Laia are going to end up together, or there's going to be some kind of romance that develops between the two of them, but their stories are completely separate. I mean, they have met, but kind of in passing, and it's not seeing one story from two points of view. It's kind of two separate stories that are happening within the same space, like the same world, that are kind of running in parallel. It's really good. Like, I'm really enjoying the story. I can definitely see how this is some people's like god tier fantasy series. I can especially imagine how much story will pick up in future books. Like I said, at the moment, I feel more gripped by Elias's chapters than by Laia's chapters. But for a first book in a fantasy series, I think it's good. I always have to remind myself with fantasy books that often the first one is a lot of foundation setting and a lot of world building, a lot of setting the scene for what's to come. And if I think about all of my favorite fantasy series, the first book is never my favorite. Whether that's like Throne of Glass or Spark of the Everflame, Six of Crows was kind of banging, but that was only a duology. I think there are 4 books in this series. I think I looked it up. I can't remember exactly. I think I'm like edging towards gripped. I have a feeling the second half, I'm going to be reaching for it a lot more than I was in the first half, but so far so good, and I'll keep you updated once we've made some more progress. But yeah, we're on page 219, doing well so far. Finished, and whoa, the pacing really picked up in the back half of this. I blitzed the second half of this so hard yesterday and today. What a good story. Sounds so simplistic, but you know when you just want a great story. I loved having the dual points of view running alongside each other. I loved both Laia and Elias. Lots of the side characters had lots of depth. I'm so interested to see what's going to happen in book 2. Can you guys let me know if you've read this series? Does it keep getting better and better? I hope so. I hope this isn't like the peak, because I have so many questions. I'm so interested to see if Elias and Laia, like if there is a romance there, you can start to see like a couple of little things bubbling. So I wonder if in future books there'll be like a heavier dose of romance. I don't know. The stakes were so high, I was on the edge of my seat. There isn't really like a magic system though. I mean, I know it is fantasy, and like there was definitely, there started to be discussions of like ancient creatures, and there were certain beings that couldn't die that like presided over the trials, and they were kind of like oracles, and they seemed to be like immortal, or they couldn't die. And there was the mention of Fae a couple of times, like they just reference Fae, but nobody necessarily like had magical powers in any way. So it was like kind of a fantasy book, but kind of not. And I wonder if future books like will become more heavily fantasy. Let me know if you've read it. I think my final rating for this is going to be 4.25, maybe 4.5. But if you just want to get lost in a really good story, highly recommend. There we have it. I feel like this vlog has been quite a long one, so I'm going to give you a really quick summary of my final thoughts so that you can use a more succinct version if you're thinking about adding any of these to your TBR. In today's video, we answered 3 prompts. Well, there was secretly a lot more than that, wasn't there? But let's say 3 prompts. Pick a book that is the shortest on your shelf, pick a book that will make you laugh, and then pick a book about forbidden love. But first we read Heartland and People Watching. I think these are the 2 out of the 4 that I would say I wouldn't 100% recommend. I think read them if you're interested. I am not going to rate Heartland and People Watching. I'm actually going to bump down to 3 stars. I think the more that I think about it, I think it wasn't my favorite. And I did like Milo much more towards the end, but I don't think I said at any point, but she is a virgin and he has a body count of over 200. So there's that, which like maybe that makes sense then, like she is kind of obsessed with sex because she hasn't had it, and he's obsessed with sex because otherwise how'd you get to 200 people if you're not obsessed with it? So maybe that's why it makes sense that that's the tone that the book went in. But yeah, maybe recommend. I think these two are both proceed with caution for very different reasons. And then these two I definitely do recommend. 4.5, definitely one of my favorites from the Rose Hill series. Had the best time. And then probably 4.25, great fantasy story if you're looking for something cozy and a bit atmospheric to sink your teeth into this autumn. That is all the books that we read in today's video. Let me know if you're planning to read any of these, or if you've already read some of them. Definitely let me know on the next installments of An Ember in the Ashes. I really want to know whether I should like dive straight into the future books in that series now or read something else. Because to be honest, the thing that I need to pick up next is Atmosphere and The Nightingale. I'm not avoiding them, I promise. They are the next books that I'm gonna read. But that is it from me. As always, I've had so much fun. I hope you're in the middle of such a good book, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Bye guys.